I decided to explore an unknown location posted by the user Unknown101. It was beautiful, but when night came, I instantly regretted. As I cruised down the open highway, the thrill of quitting my monotonous software engineer job and embarking on an adventure pulsated through my veins. The wind whistled through my rolled-down windows, and the distant hum of the engine played a symphony of newfound freedom. It was liberating, and I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief as the tall corporate building disappeared in the rearview mirror. I reached home, unsure of what lay ahead but filled with an unbridled enthusiasm. As I lounged in my cozy apartment, I pondered the possibilities. That's when it hit me: abandoned places. The idea of exploring desolate territories, uncovering the secrets they held, appealed to the adventurous spirit within me. I hopped onto my laptop, fingers dancing across the keyboard, searching for the best places to explore. Most were run-of-the-mill, but my excitement peaked when I stumbled upon a mysterious forum. Anonymous users shared hidden gems, but one post, by a user named Unknown101, caught my eye. A new location, uncharted and shrouded in mystery, beckoned with a set of intriguing coordinates. I punched them into Google Maps, and to my delight, the destination was just 40 kilometers away. The excitement bubbled within me as I envisioned the untold stories waiting to be discovered. The following days were a whirlwind of preparation. I stocked up on survival tools, packed enough food to rival a small army, and wrapped myself in layers of warm clothing. With everything set, I loaded my car and set off towards the unknown coordinates. As I drove along the seemingly endless highway, a cocktail of fear and anticipation stirred within me. The thrill of the adventure ahead was shadowed by an unspoken sense of trepidation. It was as if the unknown had reached out to tap me on the shoulder, whispering secrets that sent shivers down my spine. The landscapes shifted outside my window, morphing from urban sprawl to open countryside. Yet, the feeling persisted, an eerie prelude to the enigma awaiting me. The road stretched endlessly before me, and with each passing mile, my sense of unease intensified. But, fueled by the intoxicating blend of fear and curiosity, I pressed on. The coordinates guided me into the unknown, and as the highway stretched on, the line between adventure and apprehension blurred. My heart raced, the road winding its way through the tapestry of the unfamiliar. And so, with a mixture of trepidation and exhilaration, I drove further into the mysterious abyss, ready to unravel the secrets hidden in the coordinates provided by the enigmatic Unknown101. The clearing bathed in the glow of the setting sun welcomed me with open arms, contrary to the ominous expectations fueled by the mysterious coordinates. It wasn't the eerie, run-down place I had envisioned, but a picturesque haven in the midst of nature's beauty. Eager to capture the moment, I whipped out my camera and immortalized the scene with selfies and landscape photos. The wind whispered through the grass, and the warmth of the departing sun kissed my face. It was a moment of pure serenity, and any disappointment I initially felt melted away. As daylight gave way to night, I retreated to the safety of my car, ready to bask in the solitude of my newfound oasis. However, my contentment was short-lived as I turned the key in the ignition, only to be met with the eerie silence of a dead engine. Panic set in as I popped the hood, revealing the inexplicable absence of the entire engine. How could such a large piece of machinery vanish into thin air without a trace? Resigned to my predicament, I acknowledged the need to set up camp for the night. The wind, now colder and more biting, hindered my efforts as I struggled with the tent. An unsettling feeling lingered in the air, as if unseen eyes watched my every move. The desolation of the open field seemed to amplify the intensity of the situation. With the tent finally standing against the gusts of the night wind, I retreated inside. As I tried to distract myself with the comforting embrace of a comedy cartoon comic, I laughed out loud and the vibes were good and relaxing. All was good until I heard another laughter pierce through the silence. A high-pitched, inhuman sound echoed from outside of my tent. I froze, heart pounding in my chest, as the sinister laughter grew louder. It felt as though something malevolent lurked just beyond the thin fabric of my tent. I dared not move, hoping that stillness would render me invisible to whatever unseen presence tormented the night. The laughter ceased, leaving an oppressive silence in its wake. For what felt like an eternity, I remained motionless, my senses heightened to the faintest rustle of the night wind. Eventually, curiosity overpowered fear, and I cautiously peeked outside. The clearing was empty, devoid of any visible threat. But unease still clung to me, refusing to dissipate. Gathering only the essentials, my camera, phone, wallet, and a small supply of food, I fled into the night, guided by the dim light of the moon and the desperate hope of reaching civilization. I ran without looking back, each step fueled by an urgent need to escape the enigma that had unfolded in that desolate place. My heart raced as I sprinted through the open field, the eerie silence broken only by the soft crunching of grass beneath my frantic footsteps. I had lost my way in the dead of the night, and panic had taken hold of me within the darkness. Time seemed to stretch, and every breath felt like a desperate plea for escape. After what felt like an eternity, I stumbled upon a clearing and, to my immense relief, it was a highway. My salvation. I rushed toward it, my breaths now heavy gasps, hoping to find help. As I reached the roadside, my elation was quickly replaced by a chilling realization: there were no cars on this seemingly desolate stretch of road. An unsettling feeling crept over me, intensifying with every passing moment of eerie silence. A cold shiver ran down my spine, and an inexplicable sense of dread gnawed at me. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. My instinct screamed at me to look behind, and when I did, a gut-wrenching terror seized me. There, emerging from the shadows, was a grotesque figure. A large, hairless humanoid with crimson skin, dark hollowed eyes, and a malevolent grin. It moved with an otherworldly grace, its limbs contorting unnaturally as it traversed the ground on all fours. My breath caught in my throat as I realized I was not alone. Panic fueled my legs as I sprinted along the road, the relentless laughter of the creature echoing in my ears. I could feel its malevolence closing in, the ominous presence sending shivers through my entire being. My heart pounded, and my muscles burned as I pushed myself to the limits of human endurance. Just when it seemed like the night would swallow me whole, a salvation appeared on the horizon, a distant glow, a white light accompanied by the low hum of an approaching vehicle. Hope surged within me as I desperately waved and jumped, urging the oncoming truck to halt. The truck screeched to a stop, and as I gasped for breath, I immediately went inside the passenger seat and I frantically explained my dire situation to the bewildered trucker. He looked at me with a mix of concern and confusion, unable to fathom the horror I had narrowly escaped. However, I immediately noticed that the red-skinned humanoid was nowhere to be seen. The trucker, still puzzled thinking that I could be some crazy schizophrenia patient, resumed his journey, oblivious to the supernatural threat that had pursued me. I thanked him, my voice trembling with gratitude, and assured him not to worry about the bizarre encounter. As the truck rumbled down the desolate highway, I stared out into the abyss of the night. The memory of the creature's laughter echoed in my mind, and I couldn't shake the feeling that it lingered in the shadows, waiting for another unsuspecting soul. The weight of the unknown pressed on my shoulders, and I couldn't help but wonder what fate awaited me had the truck arrived a moment too late. Fast forward, I arrived home and immediately opened my laptop to warn everyone on the forum to never go to the coordinates set by the user Unknown101. To my surprise, the post made by the anonymous user was nowhere to be seen, as if it was never existed. I asked the forum admin if a user by the name Unknown101 had recently made a post that was deleted. The admin responded to me saying that the user had never existed, or such post with certain coordinates had never came to light in the forum. I became confused and puzzled, complaining to the admin of my recent experience. But the conversation backfired to me, as I should have held my own responsibilities when exploring areas suggested by anonymous users on the forum. After some time has passed, I gave up on the idea of exploring abandoned places, and instead I decided to just join a sports club to keep my mind at ease. I am writing this now as a rant to anyone who would go near the forum to explore abandoned places. I will also not be disclosing the information of the coordination codes for the sake and safety of everyone here, so don't bother asking for it.